The Japanese filled the aft hold first, separating the 500 highest-ranking American officers from the group and prodding them toward the hatch. The prisoners crept down a 12-foot wooden ladder into the gloomy hold. Once they reached the bottom, they were met by Sergeant Dow and a band of guards. As had been the case throughout the war, the Japanese used individuals from the bottom rung of their social structure to manage the POWs, their own prison internees, the mentally dysfunctional, and those unfit to hold any other position. Dow and his group fell into this category, cruelly forcing the American officers back into the darkness by beating them with brooms. Around the perimeter of the hold were double-tiered stalls, each about 3 feet high. They resembled the berths in a Pullman train car, but were square in shape rather than long and narrow. The hold might have comfortably held 200 men. The Japanese were intent on filling it with 800. The sunlight outside had been harsh, and the prisoners' eyes had not yet adjusted to the hold's dim light. They were moving too slowly to suit the Japanese guards, so the guards shoved them roughly, filling first the upper stalls and then the lower stalls. The 3-foot-high compartments forced the men to sit, and as they were crowded in so closely, extending their cramped legs was an impossibility. Instead, they sat hugging their knees or with their legs folded under them. Once the stalls were filled, guards drove men into the center of the hold, insisting that the new arrivals not even try to sit, but stand packed together like vertical sardines. The Japanese forcibly crowded in as many men as was physically possible, pushing those who had arrived first even farther back into the airless gloom. The guards beat the last men down the hold's ladder with rifle butts. Looking through the hatch from the deck above, they saw a pit filled with 800 men staring back up at them with terrified eyes as they struggled to breathe. The most senior officers in the back had begun to faint almost immediately from the intense heat and the lack of air circulation created by so many bodies. The hatch was slammed shut, and the men were immersed in a sea of complete and forbidding darkness. At the same time that the aft hold was being filled, 600 more men were packed into the forward hold. Within minutes, the air there too became thin and foul. Despite senses that had been numbed from years of physical and mental abuse, these men realized that their current situation was more life-threatening than anything else they had previously been through. The remaining 219 men were jammed into the hold amidships, the only one that was fully ventilated. Pharmacist mate Estelle Myers was one of the last to be shoved at bayonet point down into that hold. The Oryoku Maru cast off around 1900 hours. 1,619 men had been swallowed by this immense steel beast. For them, the closest thing to hell on earth had begun.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.